Welcome to the Purposeful in Life podcast, where our mission is to help individuals and organizations find their purpose so that they may live a life that is fulfilling and inspired in and out of work. Your hosts, Christina Hall and myself, Garrett Willey, are passionate to inspire, teach, mentor, and serve our community. We have 42 years of combined experience as entrepreneurs and in international corporations. Both of us have military backgrounds. Myself, Garrett, as a commissioned officer with over 9 years of service, and Christina as a military spouse of over 15 years. Welcome to Purposeful in Life, where together we go on the journey of discovering a life filled with purpose and intention. All right, guys, thank you and welcome back to Purposeful in Life, the podcast with your hosts, Garrett Willey and
Christina Hall.
And today we have a special guest who is an amazing videographer and photographer. And he's just got a great business that's starting up and growing leaps over bounds. And he's helping small businesses such as BD Local, like we're in here for the podcast studio, or my company, Do It Right Roofing. And he comes in and helps and does video commercials that help you get your message across so that, like, when you're speaking with one person, you know, you can really share with them and they can find out what you're all about and what your meaning is and purpose and why you are in business and how you want to serve. But how do you share that to thousands of people or beyond? Well, that's what our guest is here for, and he's helping people with that. And this man is a great man. I got to spend like over a week with him at a conference and for business development, and we learned a lot together. And we really enjoy speaking with one another and learning from one another. And that is why Christina and I brought him on our show. And Christina's hired him before.
Yes.
She got to be a beautiful model like last week. And our guest is the great Asaph Gaspy.
Great Asaph Gaspy. Thank you for the introduction. I love that.
Oh, you're welcome. So this is Asaph, and he's a good friend of ours. And we want to come together and talk today about your journey of how you got from the different jobs that you had, where you came from, to get to where you're able to do what you love doing, which is part of purpose, right? Because your purpose in life is in service of others for it to have fulfillment. But it has to be, if it's the good way to find it is it's like something you're good at and something that you love doing and you're passionate about. But really, when you look at times in your life where you find joy and happiness and fulfillment, if you repeat those stories and you think back to those stories, and that's what we want to learn from you today, how do you find where you're at right now on this lifelong journey of finding purpose and fulfillment? So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to find videography and photography?
Well, my name is Asaph Gaspy. I was born in the Philippines. Our family came here to America when I was little. I've lived in Guam, California, but most of my life up here in Washington. And what got me in the video was a series of different skills and different things that led from one to another. I started doing photography. Well, actually, I've been making videos since high school. I was dancing, making videos in high school just for fun, but I took a break from that. And when I graduated, I got into photography. I thought that there was a lot of photos out there that didn't really represent the subject. And I was like, you know what, let me pick this up. And I got obsessed. I got obsessed with composition, lighting, finding the right angles, really bringing out the essence of the person. And what led to photography, I went to school for social media marketing.
Uh-huh.
I was like, how can I leverage my creativity into a skill set that's going to be productive and needed in the marketplace? If I don't know what I want to do yet, I'm going to learn the skill set. And there was people like Gary Vaynerchuk who got me into it. Social media marketing program was a new thing at Pierce College. It was a 9-month-long program, and it was a crash course on all aspects of marketing, from the content creation, from usability, website, business. And I graduated with a 4.0 in the top of my class. And I knew that I've never been good in school. And it was just comes naturally. I was really obsessed with learning how to improve my content. So that was a big sign. And after that, I got into real estate marketing. I was a real estate marketing specialist for close to 2 years. I did the Facebook, social media, Instagram, website, all different types of marketing. But
as in a job for somebody else?
Yep.
For another company?
Yeah. And interesting with that job, it wasn't even a real position. We created that position because we found that there was a need that we could provide to the brokerage. Mm-hmm. And what really got me into video from that point on was actually dance. I started dancing. I always asked myself, like, what would the sexiest version of myself be doing? And he'd be
Ooh.
dancing. I saw a dance studio locally. Yeah, and
Too bad we don't have room in here to dance.
Yeah.
We breaking equipment
I
left and
love
right.
music. I love art. I love all different types of music. And I'm like, how cool would it be to just interpret it the way I want to and to learn and grow? And I started making videos for my dance studio, and that's where I saw it really make an impact in people's lives. And for people to see themselves in a perspective that they've never seen
Mhm.
before, especially through video, it became my obsession. And that from that point on, I realized it was time for me to become an entrepreneur. It's like if I want to get
Mhm.
freedom in my life, if I want to achieve growth, then let me take a chance on this industry. It's a growing industry. It's very
Mhm.
new. So I took some online courses on doing video production and selling video production and what kinds of videos will actually help move the needle forward for businesses. So that's where I'm at right now.
And growing your
Wow.
business. You mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk. How did he influence you? Is it just his content or?
When I got into, it was either before I went to school for social media marketing or during the time, but I became obsessed with his content because he actually made me feel like I could believe into doing something with this. And he gave you the tools, he gave you the insight, and it was my first time really being exposed to this whole idea of digital marketing. And I found that it was something I was really attracted to, just learning how to create the content and to make effective content. And he was kind of like my mentor when I didn't have that mentor around me. And that's why I got obsessed with consuming his stuff and
Mhm.
really learned from him.
Is there anybody else that you like to follow and learn from?
There's a lot. I think what got me I got into personal development a few times in my life, but around this time with Gary Vaynerchuk, I started listening to podcasts like The School of Greatness, The Art of
Mhm.
Charm, the a whole bunch of different podcasts, and I'd say like a lot of different guests that were on there. I got right now. I like different flavors of people. So there's
Mhm.
like David Goggins. I love for like that tough skin, that motivation, that resilience. Same thing with like Bedros Keuilian and Ed Milet. I like the millennial mentor. What's his name? Gerard Adams. He has a really good show that he does too. And I just have like whole different. I have like a playlist for every different style of like development, whether it's spirituality, money,
Mhm.
business, marketing.
I love that it's you don't just focus on just one person, but you have many different influences.
Hmm.
And that's so awesome that you mentioned that because I think that's so important to, yeah, you can focus on one thing, but you can take so many different pieces from so many different people and, you know, just take what you need.
Hmm.
And,
Exactly.
and that's what we're all here for.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that's why we have this show. Even, of course, our purpose in it is to help people find their purpose so they can find fulfillment in and out of work, right? As entrepreneurs, which all of us sitting here are, we have taken and made our life our work at the same time. I know I've had friends that have told me, Garrett, you're crazy. You don't take any time off. You know,
Mhm.
you have no life, pretty much is what they said. And I'm like, I have the greatest life ever. What are you talking about? Because they think all I'm doing is working. And I'm like, I'm trying to build something for myself and a future and a legacy. And really what it comes down to is building, right?
Mhm.
Because, uh, who, oh, it was Michael E. Gerber when he said, we are created to create,
Mm.
Love
right?
that.
That's the point of what he said, when you're created in the image of God, right? And God is a creator. Therefore, we are created to create,
Hmm.
right? And it's like, and if you look at your life and you find the most fulfillment, it's like creating things or building things that serve other people, right? So if you're doing it, not necessarily, I mean, of course, we all get something out of it when we sell a product or whatever. We can make money and support our families, and everybody wins. I often say I want to create a win-win-win-win-win situation. It's like every party that's involved, I want to win, right? Because the consumer should win the greatest, and the salesperson that's selling should win because he should be able to support his family and his future and create a future. The business should win, because it has to stay in business so the consumer can have what they need, right? And we just want to create that kind of
Mhm.
situation for everybody to have a positive, experience, which doesn't always happen, because life is life. It's muddy at times, and I love that we can do that by working together and learning and having that Kaizen principle, the Japanese term, which means continuous improvement. And I think that we're all resonating on that because you're listening to a lot of podcasts and you read books and stuff too, or listen to
Mm-hmm.
audiobooks.
Yep.
And that helps us to expand. And what we have a passion for when we're talking about this, the content of this show, is so that people don't go through life and just kind of float,
Yeah.
right? Because we see people all the time that are just kind of like, they go do their job, and it could be any job. It doesn't really matter what it is. It could be an accountant, an attorney, uh, working at Home Depot. It could be anything, but they just go do their job so that they can get off of work. And then they just want to sit in front of the TV or do what, or people are like smoking a lot of pot or drinking a lot of alcohol, and all they're trying to do is numb themselves from the day so they can start over again to work, to get to the point where they can numb themselves. So that's where Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about people are like living for Friday and dreading Monday. As
Yeah.
if, I mean, this is Monday, right? We're
It's
Monday.
Monday.
Is it Monday today?
Yes.
Yeah. So, that's another trait of an entrepreneur. You're like, you don't know what day it is. It's like you gotta look at. I always have to have a calendar now,
Yeah.
and I'm getting better at it because I'm trying to put stuff in there so I can be like, what do I have going on today or this week or tomorrow? Because every day is just has its own, productivity, and some things are rest. Actually, that's been a tough one for me, is to like really be like, stop and just be like, okay, we're going to try not to focus on work and rest because we want to have that balance. And it's funny how people ask Gary again about work-life balance. And he's like, it's based off of what makes you happy, right? Not and making sure you're taking care of your family, right? And those you love and care for. So you have to like communicate with those you care for and not just like, go to one extreme or the other. So, what was the biggest turning event that caused you to like realize that you had to go and start your own business?
It's a reoccurring thing, and you touched point on a real, I think it's a real issue that, especially now, is like learning to lead a fulfilling life. Um, I had to learn through personal development, through researching the strategies it takes to really ask myself the deep questions, to uncover where I need to go and what direction I want to do. And right now, a lot of people, we're faced with a lot of distractions, and then it's been my thing, especially like people my age, like what can I do? How can I contribute to the growth of other people so that they could start this journey? And once they start this journey on actually doing something that fulfills them, life just gets crazy good.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
exciting. It's meaningful. So what really got me into starting my business was it got to that point again. Every time there's a transition point in my life when I'm in like a year and a half or into my job, I get really down. I'll get home and I'm like, I feel these feelings in my body. Like, what am I doing with my life? Um, and I end up like crying, and I don't know why it is. It's just like I know something inside me needs to grow, and it got to that point with where I was at before I started my video business. I said, "This
With the
is."
real estate company?
I was like, "This is my next transition for growth. Is I need to grow. I need to go full time into this video thing because prior to it, I was doing a lot of research in video marketing, and I saw how big of a need it was, and I saw how much of an impact it was having. I looked at the industry and I saw how accessible this technology is now, and how much power we have to really buy from our own businesses, to really tell our story at an affordable price with the biggest impact, because everyone is looking to each other like, who do you go with? Who would you prefer? You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
video is the tool to help capture that. And a big part of my thing is helping the community. How can I contribute? And I saw video uh, is the number one most powerful tool to do that of our time. It's the reason why they can see us right here. It's the reason why we're all here together. And this moment right here is immortalized in time. So 10 years from now, if this is on YouTube, I could look back at myself and be like, whoa, this is when I had this moment. So there's a lot of different benefits that came with it, but it was really that discomfort. And I knew that I felt at every job, and I was like, okay, what's going to happen is I'm either going to, how long can I sit with this discomfort and keep doing what I'm not meant to be doing?
Yeah. So
Or I
you
can make
listen to
change.
that intuition.
Yep.
I was gonna ask, because I had the same feeling, and you said 1.5 years into a job you would feel that way,
Mm-hmm.
and I so relate to that, because there's like that plateau. You hit it, and then okay, what now?
Mm-hmm.
What's next? And I believe that there are a lot of people out there that ask the same questions. And what tip or what advice would you give them so that they're not going to be stuck and just say, oh well, just find another job, or how.
Or I'm too involved in this
Yes,
career to be able to move on to something
exactly.
different, even though I know this isn't going to make me happy
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
ever. Right? I mean, there's people that they go to jobs. It could be, again, any career, right? They could be making $180,000 a year,
Hmm.
but they've been doing it for 8 years or whatever it is, and they are just miserable.
Yeah.
And they're like, I am too invested. I have too big of a house and my cars and stuff. I can't go and start over, right? And what would Gary Vaynerchuk say?
Mm-hmm.
To do both, right?
Hmm.
Or me do it anyways,
Yeah.
right? Because and what we're not trying to tell people is like go quit your job,
No.
right? Because you still got to pay your bills and stuff, but like scale back, sell your cars, get something cheaper.
And also feel into that feeling and
Yeah,
not just let it go. Like it
yeah,
is there for a reason. I love that what Kyle C says.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's there for, it has a purpose. If the desire is there, like feel into it.
I I love the question because I feel like, with my time on this planet, with my everyday, the best thing I want to do is use my whatever I learned to get to where I'm at to help other people. And one of the things is a lot of people are stuck in living a life 5, 10, 20 years into a job, and
Hmm.
they're just sitting with all this discomfort, and it's
hmm,
showing out in their personality. It's like they're not who they are. There's so much
Yeah.
more than just like this cranky person who complains about where they're going. There's so much more to them. So the first step is being 100% honest. Be honest with yourself. How do you really feel? How don't
Hmm.
suppress it. Like how I had to ask myself, how bad does this feel? Why does it feel bad? And then from that, I needed to get clarity. And some of the strategies that I use is number one, I write a list of all the jobs I ever had. Number two, I write all of the skill sets I ever had. So I went back and assessed photography, marketing. I like making videos, graphic design. Just put it all out there. Third thing is what are some emerging industries, right? I'm all about innovation, finding what's new, and there's the marijuana industry, there's the vegan industry, there's video. Like I was just listing things that I
Hmm.
was like, okay, what can be profitable because I want to be able to bring profit, and so having those listed out, and then also, what do you want to learn, right?
hmm,
I wanted to learn dance. I didn't know dance would lead me to really falling in love into video, which led me to other
Hmm.
things. But now dance is a big part of who I am as a person. Aside from the business element, there's the art side of it as well too, to live a more meaningful life, and writing it all out. And then when you have it all out in paper, then you could really assess, okay, what are there any businesses in this, right? And really looking into it. And a big thing is finding either mentors or people who are in that wavelength of already having their own business, because
hmm.
they're going to be able to give you insight.
Hmm.
And take it with a grain of salt, but if you have the right people around you, they'll encourage your exploration. And when you encourage your exploration, you come up with the idea and you come up with the business and you decide to execute,
Yes.
you just took in the red pill and you're in it.
And it's not always going to be success.
Right.
Because I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys have seen those memes that talk about like people think, oh, there's a point down here that you're at, and there's a point up here that you want to get to,
Hmm.
right? And they're like, it's straight line.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like choose, 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 back and forth,
Yes.
trying to
Hmm.
move up towards that line, and actually sometimes that target that we had early on might shift,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to like let the old one go, which can be tough too, because you're like, well, that's where I want to get to and that's what I want to do, but it's like, well, is that really where I want to be, and really where God and life is intending me to go, because again, back to finding purpose and fulfillment is like, can I make enough to support myself and fulfill my dreams? Or are my dreams, not realistic? Because don't have realistic dreams, but are they real to who I am and what's important to me?
Yes.
Again, don't have realistic dreams. Do the Grant Cardone thing. Do the 10x thing,
At
and
least,
stop.
yeah.
Don't be a little bitch. Right? Go for it. I should have wore that hat today. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. I got a Grant Cardone hat that says 10x on it, and I was at a barbecue a few weeks ago, and a guy asked me, "What's that hat about?" I was like, "Oh, it's creating your goals or thinking of what your goals will be over the year and then 10 timesing them. Right? I go, so then you set your standards on like, okay, if I were to make it a lot bigger than what
Mm-hmm.
I'm at, and that doesn't mean you're going to make it in a year,
Yeah.
right? Like if you're like, oh, I want to make $200,000 a year, I gotta now make $2 million a year in the 1 year. Maybe it won't happen in 1 year, but if you're like, hey, that's where I'm going to be in like 3 or 5 years, right? And what type of massive action do I have to do to go towards that? Now, doing something like that, and the don't be a little bitch thing is like, don't sit there and whine and bitch and complain to
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I can't make it. Woe is me. Things didn't go well. Whatever, right? We all have setbacks. I had setbacks a couple weeks ago where I lost like almost $10,000 worth of tools. Can't afford that right now, but do I have a choice? So it's
Not
like,
really.
oh, well, I guess I'll just buy back what I can as I need it and move forward and rebuild because that's what we always have to do in life. Just like reshift and be like, okay, shift that mindset, rebuild, and take the massive action. Because if we go for something bigger, right? Like we were at the conference and you're like, oh, this is what I want to build my business, and I'm like double it.
Yep.
And you're like, you're
Double it?
crazy. Yeah, I'm like, go bigger.
How am I gonna do that?
Yeah. So we always stop ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're always like, oh no, I can't do that. We need to stop saying I can't do that and just go for it, which is really intimidating at times.
Very.
You know, yesterday, my girlfriend Angela and I paid to have her carpets cleaned in her place, and so it's like you got to go for like 4 hours. So we took the dogs, and we're like, well, what do we do? Should have gone over to your place, but I wasn't sure how the dogs would match. It's like we probably need to plan that ahead of time.
Yeah.
So we're like, we can't just like, there's nowhere for them to run free. So we're like, let's just drive around and look at properties, like empty properties, because it's a dream of mine to have a big property. We went from one to another, and finally we're like, well, let's go look at that property that you really want to look at, which is like 46 acres. And we go out there, and we couldn't really go on it because I think the family was camping on it. They were like, "Oh, there's people on the property. We better not like, like go knock on their tents in the morning. Can we look at your property?" We're like, so we're gonna go back with the real estate agent. But it's like, how do we get that? It's like I don't have like $200,000 down to buy the property, and then like like $3,000 or $4,000 a month just for the land.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and so I'm like sitting here. What I'm telling you the stories because I'm sitting in the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all sitting in that. Like, well, I have this like goal or this dream, and you know what? If I work towards that, and that doesn't become available, something better else will. Right? We'll find something else that'll be like, this is perfect. This is my dream. Once I've worked hard enough to be able to have the resources to get it. So that one might not exist, but I'm going to work towards that being the target.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we can work for, and so we can have some things that we want to have to support ourselves and our families,
Yeah.
right? And I think we can do that while we're serving other people. I think we can step out on a limb and be like, if I build more and serve more people and earn more, then I can help more people and serve more people and build more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And some people think like generating wealth is a negative thing. And it's like, well, it's all well and good. Like if you make $50,000 a year and you give away $3,000 to $5,000 a year to your church or other organizations that you're trying to help out, you make an impact by doing that, right? And helping people. And that is beneficial. But if you were 20 times that, right? And you can give away $100,000 a year, and then you're going to help 20 times as many people, right? So isn't it our responsibility to build something greater so we can serve more people and help more people?
Mm-hmm.
Which means that we have to work harder and we have to do more things and more smart things, which is the personal development stuff we're talking about. I really like that analogy where they're talking about like, like here's my safe second base mug, but imagine it was a clear bottle with a lid on top and you put fleas in it. The fleas will jump and hit the lid.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have heard this story,
Yes.
right? Fleas jump, hit the lid. At some point, you could take the lid off, and the fleas will not jump out of it
Mm-hmm.
because they hit the ceiling. They hit that pane. We have done the same thing in our lives, where we've hit this ceiling and we've created this. It's just a plastic lid. We've made this thing like, oh, I can't go above that, right? We have to raise our own ceiling, and how we raise our own ceiling is by improving ourselves.
Yeah.
right? And we improve ourselves by going to business conferences like the CEO space that you and I went to, and we'll go to again multiple times a year. By doing other things like the Tony Robbins. I have a dream
Mhm.
of going to his business mastery conference. I'll do that at some point. The more that we can raise that ceiling by improving ourselves, the bigger our glass will get. And when our glass is bigger, and we still got to keep pushing that ceiling, it doesn't end. Another thing that I want to talk about that goes right along that same lines is that people think that whether they're 16 or 70, that if they haven't found their purpose yet and don't have a passion and haven't gone down that road, that they've built this career and they can't get out of it. They think that they've hit that ceiling. They think they can't go any further.
Mhm.
They don't write down what it is that's important to them, like you were just describing, and try to figure out a way through it. I don't understand that though, but a lot of people are doing that, and that
Yeah.
frustrates me because I'm like, I see them and I hurt for other people, and I hurt for myself too because like I have my own ceilings that I've set, like that property. I'm like, how do I do that? It's like
Yeah.
tons of money to buy a property and build on it, so it's a ceiling, and I'm like, okay, well, it might not be. Have you ever had someone tell you no? You go and do a sales process to them, and
A
they're
lot.
like, hey, I'd like to share with you this program. It'll be a few $1,000s, but it'll change your business, and you'll probably get 10x that because where $3,000 is now, if you were to be a big business and go to a big video production company, it'd be 30,000 or 300,000 to get a similar commercial setup for you, right? So what you're doing is you're making your business more affordable so a small business can do it, but it's still a stretch for the small business, right? Because a few $1,000s is a lot of money, right? Well, you're in there talking to them and they say no. That no doesn't necessarily mean no permanently.
Yeah.
I tell people no all the time because people are always trying to sell small business people stuff. Lots of the time, it's no right now. Like, no, I can't do that in this moment. Or, no, I've already have too much on my plate and I can't do what's needed to be done so that'll be effective. Because I've jumped into things where I couldn't, I thought I wanted to do it. I did want to do it, but I wasn't ready for it. Um, so sometimes the no is no right now, and life throws those things at us. Like the property. It's no because I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to put into that. It doesn't mean it's no forever. It's no for
Mhm.
right now. So set the big goals so that we can take the massive action, so that we can get those things and so much more, and then we can serve and help more people. I love it.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
of Bedros Killian's, he says, if you only like being staying poor is selfish.
Hmm.
If you intentionally just succumb to your limiting beliefs, because if you just say, "Oh, I want to just make enough for myself," there's so much more people you can help. And there's so much more, and this comes back to the idea of we do this so we can grow and profit and whatever it is, so we could expand our reach to other people. And the more people we get to do that, life just becomes more fun, more collaboration, and it's exactly what we'll need in order to survive. Because there's so many distractions, so many things trying to rip us apart.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one thing that's going to bring us together. So it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
So, what's the one thing you get up in the morning for that makes you happy? Is it dance? Is it dance? I love
I
to
like to get up and
dance.
dance, and I like to get up and laugh and smile, and look at the day ahead of me. Um, I guess what gets me up in the morning really is what my life's calling is, and it can be broken down to growth, contribution, and collaboration.
Mm.
And is to inspire personal growth in others. So everyone has like their problems, their challenges, and they're stuck at that ceiling part, and they have this
Mhm.
limiting belief.
Yeah.
And then they're faced with the real questions: Can I overcome? Can I do this? And if they say no, then they continue. But if they say yes, oh my gosh, then they take action to the next level. So encouraging that growth, and then the contribution is how can we contribute to each other, to the world as a whole, bring value and collaboration. This is why we have BD Local here with Do It
Mm-hmm.
Right Roofing, with Joyful Video Prosperity, and we're using video to capture this collaboration. We're contributing to the audience
Mm-hmm.
by giving insight in who we are and being true to who we are and sharing our stories. Hopefully, that people will be able to gain some sort of value or understanding and growth, because then it inspires people to ask themselves the questions of growth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So those are the things that really bring wake me up. It's video is just the tool, but what comes from the video is what I wake up for. And I don't see any other, like I've lived life where it's like I've been at places I don't want to work at, or wasting my time doing unfulfilled things. I'm tired of that. I'm tired of it. It's so painful. And I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to go back to that. I want to keep living. What else is my ideal day look like? What does my ideal week look like? And keep doing things. And it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of getting out of my comfort zone and doing this. It's connecting with you guys. It's dancing in the afternoon. It's taking my singing classes with Carol. It's doing my Muay Thai training. I'm trying to build the most meaningful life, and all of these different things that contribute to my growth play a big part into why I want to wake up in the morning and just keep doing it.
To become the best version of yourself that you can be.
There you go.
Hmm.
So, what was, you mentioned to me once before when we were talking that you had some self limiting beliefs, a ceiling that you'd put on yourself in the past, right? And that you still had this dream and this vision that had started to build in you for building a video company, which has become Video Prosperity USA. But how did you break through your own, feelings, or what were those feelings that would keep you from wanting to take action or not believing that you can do it?
Not trusting myself, self-worth, not having self-worth. Um, Before it's trying to seek approval from other people, and I wouldn't admit it to myself, but it was just
Mm-hmm.
something I knew. Like I would tone down who I was, or I would try to be someone I'm not, and I didn't really realize it, but I could feel it, and I was like, that was a big limiting belief. Self-worth as well. That's like the main one, but what caused me to really transcend was this. It's the same thing. Every time I step out of my comfort zone, something big happens.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, every single time. So every time I felt a fear, when I walked into the dance studio and I saw how anxious I was, and I was like, man, ASAP, this is your moment. Are you gonna decide to like be in this fear, or if you come here 3 days a week and you come here 4 weeks a month, how much will you grow? Same thing with when I started doing training with my Muay Thai and boxing and stuff. Okay, because I learned the process of growth, and I applied it to everything. Photography. I was like, okay, if I do one photo shoot a week, right? How much better will I be in 6 months? The reason why I joined those networking groups, I was like, this is
Mm-hmm.
freaking terrifying.
I
I
hear
guess
you
I
on
Yeah.
gotta
that.
I gotta be there, because if I'm really about my stuff, and I'm really serious and I really want to grow and be able to articulate myself, then I need to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my perception
Mm-hmm.
of of accepting challenge. It was that attitude, that this is who I am. I'm the type of person who takes action and steps out of my comfort zone because that's the only option,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do
Mm-hmm.
that. But also, um, getting around the right people, around the right mentors,
Yeah.
around the right people who could see the light in you that you don't see in yourself is so big. It's so big. So that it's always been a continuous flow of that, of overcoming newer challenges, meeting more people who could show some truth inside of me,
Mm-hmm.
and I could take those lessons, their perception, and learn it to just
Yeah.
keep growing.
I think that's a big thing, like what you said, and you said it before about having the right people around you. Um, a lot of people say, "Well, I don't know anyone, I don't know any mentors, or how am I gonna talk to Gary Vee or whatever." Well, important thing is you don't have to talk to them necessarily, just consume their content. And then from there, you're gonna meet people because you grow automatically when you listen to all those people and then um, implement those things into your lives.
They were
It's
my
just
mentors before I had anyone.
exactly.
Like it
Mm-hmm.
was all the podcasts, like
Yeah.
all the podcasts. They were my mentors. They were the people I would conversate with in the car, and I would hear how business
Yes.
people talk and
Yeah.
how they assessed situations, and then it just became a part of who I was, which is why have so much faith in this new generation. Like, yeah, we could look at things negatively, but I see a lot of hope in the fact that we have so much access to this knowledge and this abundance, and to each other. And we're gonna have the decision. Okay, we're gonna have more distractions, but the access to this information is the reason why I was able to, in middle school, I was freaking middle school. I wanted to become a better ladies man. So my first really
What
personal
was that,
development
like
was
five
like
five years ago?
it was like it was like 5 years ago. Literally, I could.
It feels like it,
It was like
right?
some pickup stuff, but that was my
Yeah.
first time like asking the question, putting out the universe in Google, and then it coming back with results. And then from that point on, it kind of gravitated. That's where I found Tony Robbins and
Mhm.
all these people that we didn't have access to
Yeah.
before the internet.
Mm.
You know, so it's out there. It's just getting people to believe in themselves, to be able to explore the information and learn how to assess the information and to apply it.
How is it that you believe in yourself now?
How is it that I believe in myself now?
Yeah.
Um, it's the consistent of stepping outside of my comfort zone, practices, habits, affirmations as well too.
Mm-hmm.
I also another exercise I did was I kept this negative journal where I wrote down
Mm.
all of my negative thoughts, all those insecurities, and I just put it down. Actually, so I got that from I did this. So I paid for this dating course. I actually got to work with a mentor. You know, I'm a single dude. Like I want to be the best version of myself, and it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like a pickup thing. It was kind of like how can you show up authentically as yourself? Because I
Nice.
struggle with that, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, I want to be more authentic. And we were on the call together. It was five of us, and everyone was kind of sharing their insecurities. And it got to me, it's like I was like, I don't really know what I'm insecure about. I didn't really know. I thought
Uh-huh.
I
Mm-hmm.
had the belief that I had to just like not own up to it and stuff. But he was like, dude, you got a lot of shit in here that you need to unbag. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
He's like, I want you to look, but I was like, you're so delusional.
Yeah.
But you know, that's just how he was, and I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. And he was like, I want you to look back this video, and I want you to look at how you respond to this question, and I want you to keep a journal, and I want you to write down every single negative thought you ever had throughout this week, and that changed everything. Oh my gosh, I started doing it, and I was like, oh wow, interesting. I have a fear of texting this person back because I feel like I may have said the wrong thing. Boom,
Mm-hmm.
felt good. Okay, what else? And I wasn't judging it.
So how do you respond to that? You just say, do you tell the person, I think I might have said the wrong thing? Or how do you,
In the moment, yeah,
yeah.
is that
Did I say the wrong thing because I'm feeling weird about this? Are you feeling weird about it too?
yeah.
Right? That's a great
Yeah.
way to respond.
And
'Cause it's just
that's
get
what
it
I'm
out
learning
there.
too,
Yeah.
especially with you, and especially when we went to CEO space, is clear communication,
Mhm.
right? Because there's a lot of times where I would say things or not say things. I'm just like sitting there, but when you could say it right there, call out the elephant in the room, and just be totally
Mm-hmm.
honest, it's a whole different vibration. You're just like, oh, okay, we're really talking, and that's something I learned a lot from you too, because you're
I try to be,
very clear.
but sometimes you don't even know what your own, like you just alluded to, you don't really know what your own thought or feeling is
Right.
on whatever topic that's coming up.
And that's really cool though that you said you write it down because
Yeah, that
it
helps.
like I didn't know either about limiting beliefs. Like how do you find that out? Because we have so many thoughts during the day and we don't notice like most of them. So writing down that exercise is really helpful.
It's the first step.
Yeah.
It's having 100% honesty, because then, okay, now I could create new habits to or new affirmations
Mm-hmm.
that will reaffirm the new person that I want to be, or more of who I am.
Yep.
Just bringing that out more. So that was for the first time, and I realized my whole life I became a master of suppressing my feelings and suppressing it to the point where I couldn't even hear the voices.
Yep.
I just knew they were there. It showed up all the times where I felt insecure, and it just crept up. But the moments where I started to become really honest with myself, and then just breathe and just feel it and not judge it, right? Because my whole
Yes.
life it's like, oh, why are you like this? Why are you so like that? No, no, no. We were like that because either our upbringing or environment influence us, and we have those negative thoughts in our head because we were born to shine a light. We didn't learn these insecurities. That's why the people with
Mm-hmm.
Gary Vaynerchuk, where he had a great upbringing with his parents, always encouraged him. He has this like
Hmm.
he is just on this high because that's what he was raised with. And now that I'm older, I'm having to learn how to do that for myself, and how to be that encouraging voice to myself. But understanding where it comes from, you know, it gives you the peace knowing that
Yep.
this isn't the real you. There's so much more to you. So
We all have room to grow. That's for sure. So when you've made a change in your life, obviously recently, where you've realized that you had some self-limiting beliefs that were putting that ceiling on that cup for you, right? And you wrote down the negative things. How do you focus on the positive in your life?
the number one thing that I do, well, my top 5 core values I have in order, and it's from least to most important, and it's execution, vision, benevolence, dignity, and gratitude is number 1.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
trying to gratitude is a skill set that we need to learn. It's a perspective change. It's something that I needed to learn because I found myself complaining throughout the day, and like being in this kind of state where it's like I'm not grateful, like I feel spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, you know, I thought that out of all the core values, if there's any one core value I can choose, whether I become super wealthy, successful, whether I just like die and like not accomplish whatever, it's going to be gratitude. And so with gratitude is if I can find peace in the present moment, like right now, if I could be grateful for this moment and I could just keep doing that every time, every day, every other hour, and fear can't live where gratitude is.
Mm-hmm.
I have no
Yes.
choice but to
Yep.
see the positive and what that it brings in more opportunities and relationships. So every morning, I've been writing down what am I grateful for, and I've been very very consistent ever since CEO space. Like I've been doing it every day too. But even
Nice.
before that, I've been kind of doing it. But that. Oh my gosh, like when I started to just write down every single, at first it was kind of hard
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, what am I grateful for? Okay, yeah, there's nothing to be grateful. No, no, what is there to be grateful for? Got a
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
roof over my head. The sun is shining, even when the sun is not shining. Like there's so many different
Yeah.
things, and the more that I did it, just so happens there's more things just start to be
Coming up.
grateful for. Like a lot more blessings start to happen. I can't say it's because of that. Maybe it just I never was aware of it.
Yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
that changes my attitude. It changes how I show up with conversation. It changes my whole way of being, and gratitude, like
You
David
can't
answered.
be depressed
Yeah.
or sitting in that whole like negative self,
Mm-hmm.
like ooh, woe is me, the
Mm-hmm.
Eeyore, right? If
Yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
Winnie the Pooh, right? If you're Winnie the Pooh, then you're grateful and happy. If
Mm-hmm.
you're Eeyore, then you're like, oh my goodness,
Mm-hmm.
life is so hard,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, and then Tigger, like maybe you're closer to Tigger. You're like bouncing all over the
I love
place.
tigers. Favorite animal.
The wonderful thing about Tiggers is
Tigger.
I'm the only one. Oh, I'm the
There we go.
only one.
This is way before my time.
Winnie the
I
Pooh
was
is not before your
I
time.
was just born. Just kidding.
We're gonna have to like make
Mm.
sure you get some Winnie the Pooh in you.
Yeah.
But there's
Mm.
the different characters in life, even in that little book, right? That show that people have these different emotions that they carry that
That's
are part of their
right. They
personality.
represent a different. Okay, I
Yes,
remember
like
reading
the
that
Winnie the
somewhere.
Pooh is like the bipolar depressed guy, right? And
He's
but
bipolar depressed.
I don't know,
What?
probably, yeah. And but if you sit with that, you know, then you're going to be sitting with that controlling your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you focus on gratitude, like you're moving
Mm-hmm.
towards, then even if you had that as being part of who you are, you can start to change yourself
Mm-hmm.
because you can't be depressed and grateful at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you can be like, man, I'm really down that this and this and this happened, or that I feel this way. I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like crap,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm.
And if you're like, wait, how do I reset? Right? How do I get rid of this anxiety or negativity or whatever it is? Because so many people focus on that and how to replace it with something. The only way to
Mm-hmm.
get rid of it is to replace it with something else.
Mm-hmm.
And gratitude is probably the best thing to replace it with.
Yep.
And it's not easy. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. I think I've sent you several messages of like,
Yes.
help me to be more grateful. I
Yeah.
want to focus on gratitude. I've sent you some of them too. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to, like, let's be more grateful. That's funny. I
Yeah.
didn't know that was like your top of your
It's number one.
your
Yeah.
list, and I'm like hounding on it
Mm.
all the time because I realize that you can't be focused on the negative if you're focused on the positive.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've been struggling with lately, and I'm not sure, just to get feedback from you guys because we still got like 15 minutes left in our podcast, is how, and it probably had nothing to do with what we were talking about with purpose or anything, but how do you take it when people come to you and they're very like gossipy or negative and they're just negative? How do you shift that? Like in your own mindset. I mean, I want to be able to like be nice to people and listen to them, but there's been times recently where I've literally wanted to like get up and walk away when someone was talking. And I didn't because I didn't want to be rude, but I'm thinking I don't want to take this negativity on myself. I can feel
Mm.
it. Wait, it's like you're like grabbing all these weights and putting them on your shoulders, right? Because they're offloading it onto you. I don't know how to. I mean, none of us are psychologists here, but you felt this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think for me is first are they in a receptive mode? If they're totally ignorant, if they're totally in the state of like gossiping, whatever, then best thing is to walk away. If you start saying something and they're just like fully in it, or
when you try to reshift it to a different
yeah,
subject matter and you're like, hey, what have you done that's really good or whatever, like we're talking about now, and
yeah.
they go right back to it, then you might
Hmm.
just have to say, hey, I gotta go.
And if it's gossiping, it could be fun because it could be asking the right questions. Like, oh, so what
Mm-hmm.
you mean is da da da. Oh, did you hear them say this? Well, no, but oh, okay. So you didn't hear them say this, but you're assuming. which it might be true
Mm-hmm.
or not, but you're just assuming. But you're saying it in a clear way where
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I can be wrong, maybe it's my feelings, but asking the right questions to shift the perspective.
Mm-hmm. I don't
I
know.
like
I
that.
guess what do you think when someone's being really negative and you don't want to be around negativity?
It's the same probably. Just see if I can, if they're receptive to shifting, like asking the right questions. And then if it's not, then you have to walk away because
Yeah,
you don't want to be in that.
I don't want to be in that. No, yeah, because I want to. I personally want to be around things that are like positive.
Yeah.
Because the more that I can think of uplifting things and positive things and growth, like you were talking about, I know I can pour out into other people that, right? So it's kind of like what we fill our cup with is what we can give out, right? So if the listener finds themselves in a negative state of mind a lot, then they need to be able to fill their cup with things that are positive. Get into
Yeah.
scripture, get into the personal development,
Mm-hmm.
get into listening to podcasts that are beneficial and uplifting and helping them grow, and get rid of those other negative things,
And that's like
right?
that's the main thing. It's you're not really, you're the top five people you hang around with. It's not like you're cutting people out for good.
Mm-hmm.
You're just replacing the time with people who will help you co-create, and that's really important. So it's just the mindset of like you're just spending your time more effectively
Mm-hmm.
and more productively. And
Have you had to walk away from some of your friends?
I think that yeah, everyone has their different different ways that they live their week, their life and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
my priority is my mission to grow this company and to serve on a mass scale, and what that takes is 7 days a week. I want to fill it with people I could co-create with, and that is just my priority. So my time is taken up, although whatever connection I have with anyone, they'll always be there, and they'll always
Mm.
be a part of my life. But then what I'm finding lately is that when people are starting to get in the flow of business and unleashing the creativity, we're gravitating towards each other, and we're talking like in a light that we've never talked before.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we can actually have like, hey, I have this idea. You want to sit down and talk about it? Or hey, we should collab on something. That's just what I'm spending my time more with. So like regardless of anybody that I don't spend time with or anymore in my past, from middle school, high school, whatever it is, if they can get to a spot where our paths align and then there's some magic to be created, I'm always open
Mm-hmm.
to that. I'm always
Yeah.
hopeful for that. And there's always an opportunity, which is why I like video, because it's so across the board. I'm not stuck to one industry. I could
Yeah.
help so many different industries. So that's the biggest thing about my life is like how can I create more collaboration? How can I do this every day? And now I'm
Mm-hmm.
becoming more of an extrovert. Like it's showing up in my Myers-Briggs now. I was an INFJ.
Yeah.
I'm an ENFJ, and I was like, oh. And something that um, it's like I've always loved people. Anyways, it was just
Mm-hmm.
no. It's like I don't want to identify with one or the other more, but it's valuing your alone time, your
Mm-hmm.
solitary time, and just really having that time to yourself, but also giving back connections, getting help from someone else, or helping someone else as well too.
Yeah.
No.
Nothing. Okay.
No, I'm preaching. No, I'm just taking it in because it's so true.
I like that. Thank you, Isa.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
I
Yeah.
do. I have one question.
Okay.
One can I ask
Yeah,
the
you
last
can ask.
question.
Yes, definitely.
Um, was there someone that had a major impact in your life, or was there one situation where you made an impact in someone else's life that stands out in your mind?
There's multiple. There's multiple. Hmm. So
All of
like
them.
all of them. Just to brush through 'em, Garrett, when we were there at CEO Space,
I was like, don't you go there. You saw my look.
I was stuck with Garrett. I was stuck with him for 9 days straight, and if I would have came there by myself, I would have been so overwhelmed. But having you as my roommate, and we just sit up for hours and just talking about ideas at the same time, it's like I'm learning to expand my awareness of myself like I've never did before. And you're like, challenging me to see bigger, and then we sit here and get talking about numbers, and it's so fun. Though that the different experiences CEO space, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was Donna Blevins who helped me mind shift and tap into my past and really acknowledge the way that I viewed my younger self and who I was, and really brought it to light and really forgive that person. That was big. The different business strategies that I've learned from other people who just poured their
Mm-hmm.
heart into me. Bernie Dorman, everyone at CEO Space has really impacted my life like no other, and I feel obligated to keep passing those blessings. So every time I get in a conversation with one of my other friends who are actually like looking to start a business or start a creative venture, and they're like, yo, you just like changed my perspective, like I've never really thought I could believe in myself or do this, and I'm like, good, you're one of us now. Like there's so much more to
Drink
this.
the Kool-Aid.
There's so much more beautiful out there, and it's not like one industry, it's all these industries, and there's so
Yeah.
many ways we can connect. This is how life should be. So
Yeah, we're designed to
Yes.
be in a community to
Yes.
collaborate and connect with one another.
so every week it's like
Yeah.
something new happens daily, like that.
Awesome.
That's
Like us too.
fantastic.
Like we
Yeah.
did the photo shoot together and went to go see Costies together. We're here now.
Yeah.
We went to the cereal space, and it's just gravitating towards each other. I love it.
Yeah, and I think when earlier we were talking about when you are doing that search for self-discovery and you're doing the personal development learning and you really get involved in that. It might not happen overnight, by the way. It takes sometimes years, right? When you're doing that, you end up connecting and gravitating towards people like the three of us have gravitated towards each other. And Christina and I, we like barely talked a little bit at our networking group. And somehow it was like, oh yeah, we're both entrepreneurs. Like in a room of entrepreneurs, there are people that aren't really entrepreneurs. And then there's, they're just trying to make a buck, right? And then there's people that were like born to do it and are willing, and even if you don't really think you were born to do it, but you can decide to do it because you can change your thought process by taking enough action on it. The conscious, the subconscious, by making adjustments to who you are through the habits. I'd love to know more about the habits, but I don't think we have enough time to really get into all of that. But by changing your habits and the things that you do on a daily basis, you can change your mind and change who you are. You can literally change who you are as a person by just taking enough steps to do it. But we opened ourselves up by being available to one another, by wanting to serve people outside of ourselves, right? And by wanting to learn and grow. And so Christina and I were, let's go check out this BD Local thing. And before we walked in, we were like, Tim's over here doing the management of it. We told him, we're not going to like sign up for anything or anything. We just need to find out what they have. And then Tim was like, I want to create a national organization where we help people in the communities connect to one another, right? With the BD Local. Hence the local.
Shout
part
out to
name.
BD Local.
Shout out to BD Local. Yeah, this is the studio that we're at.
This is
And
it.
and I was like, okay, I like big vision. I'm in.
We pretty much looked at each other and we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Sold.
And we walked outside and we're like, okay, but before we start, we need to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so it took us like 4 to 6 weeks of like researching, planning, and stuff like that. And by the way, we'd already read the Simon Sinek books and several others, and we're like, that's the path we want to go down because we're so sick and tired of those we care about living without purpose and having no fulfillment in life
And wasting their lives.
and wasting
That's
their
like
lives.
my biggest thing.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of them see it. They're just like,
No.
oh, this is the hand I've been dealt, and you're like,
No.
fuck that, right? You have been dealt the hand. We've all been dealt a hand, right? I don't know anybody that was born into like multi-millions of dollars, and even if they are, they're usually a piece of crap, right? Person, like half of them might make something of themselves, the other half are just like, and they're just floating through life too, right? Because it's not about money; it's about providing value to other people and finding fulfillment in yourself, right? And if you're sitting there going to a job every day and it doesn't fulfill you, and you're like, well, this is what I've been dealt, this is the career I chose, I'm 25, I'm 30, I'm 70, I have no choice anymore, I'm in it. And it's like, well, you always have a choice. And it could be like, I have 2 kids I have to support and a house bill I have to pay for and whatever. It's like, get rid of the house, rent an apartment. Actually, now that doesn't make any sense because it costs as much to rent an apartment as it does to buy a house.
Here,
but
yeah.
nonetheless, that's just probably a Washington State, California, New York type thing. but nonetheless, it's like downsize a bit, and then you have, I think it's 163 hours in a week, right? And if you sleep 8 hours a day, and most people don't even sleep that, so what are you're gonna sleep like 40 to 50 hours in a week? You still got like 110 to 115 hours. Then you work 40 hours. Well, by the way, there's still 60, 70 hours left. Then you got like 10, 15 hours of like driving around, groceries, shit like that, right? Okay, now you still got 50 hours left or 40 hours left in your week. What are you doing with it? If you're not moving towards finding fulfillment and purpose, right? Take off part of that. Make a piece of your pie 10, 15, 20 hours a week. Commit to it. 2 hours a day. 4 hours on Saturday or whatever. And then commit that to finding your purpose or finding what you found joy in life, and then take action towards that. At some point it can take over. Right? But if you do nothing, you'll always be where you're at.
And I think, the reason what's going to get them from out of doing nothing that's helped me is two different perspectives. Is when you're sick and tired of the way you're living and you know you deserve better and you're like, enough is enough, and you're going to take action for your life and you're tired of dealing with this pain, and you understand that if you stay in this pain, nothing's going to change. It's going to get worse. It's going to affect everyone. And then use your imagination to think of a vision of your life better than what it is, and really think about it, like, what if? Empowering questions. What would it look like if I was good at dancing? What would it look like if I made great videos? What would it look like if I was an entrepreneur? What would it look like if I dressed up like, and just keep asking those.
What is your ideal life? Yeah, vision what your ideal life would be. Like if it was now or in the future, and make it a present thing. You're like, I had this type of house and place to live. I could travel and do these things. I have the family that's like this. I have these people that I support and they support me. Right? And then, like you were saying, write down. If you write down what your vision is, and then be like, okay, well, that's what I really think is my ideal vision. So start with that, and then you can make goals to fulfill it.
Right.
Right? And then break it down to the ridiculous.
Then you break it down, and then you're like, what can I do this week? Okay, in a month. Oh, wow. And you have it all out.
Yeah, if you're like trying to build a business, how many people, we've talked about this, like how many people do I have to talk to in order to have a client or whatever it is that you've discovered will help you get to your vision, your perfect life, right? And then you can be like, okay, if I talk to 5 people a day, one person will want to meet with me, right? And if I meet with 5 people, one person will be a client. That's all you got to do. Break it down. And then you're like, okay, well, that means if I do that 5 times a week, I'll be adding 1 client a week, and that could create $8,000 or $10,000 of revenue, right? Like, or whatever it creates. It could create $1,000 a month of revenue. And if that's a compounding revenue because they're buying stuff from you every month, then by creating a little that's the breaking down of the ridiculous I was talking about. By creating a little system in place, then you can be like, oh, okay, did I talk to my 5 people today? And then you don't have to be like, if all 5 say no, it doesn't matter because I talked to 5 people. And you could even break it down to like, if I talk to 5 people, I'm making $20 a person.
Yeah.
So even if they tell you to F off, who cares? You're like, thanks for the $20.
No.
Right? Like if that's what it breaks down to, you got to build the big picture and then bring it back down, then build the picture, break it back down, and then track it. And then you can be like, oh, okay, this is where I'm at. 5 people a day, 25 people a week, 20 people a week, whatever it is, will get me to 1 new client a week or 2 new clients a week or whatever that is. You do the math, you play with it, you learn to get better. And then all of a sudden somebody can go from it being their 10 hours a week thing to being what they do for life. And they can feel fulfilled with what they're doing because they're serving other people and chasing their dream. So that being said, we wanted to bring Asaph on because he is chasing his dream. And that's why we called him the Great Gatsby, because his last name is Gatsby.
Yes.
The Great Asaph Gatsby.
Awesome movie, but Leonardo DiCaprio is the best.
Yes.
Titanic's the one.
We talked about it before the movie, and Asaph didn't know about the book.
I knew about the
great
book.
Movie. So we brought you on because we wanted you to share some of your story, which is that going from just floating, not finding purpose, to like discovering that, hey, I really like this videography and photography, and having it grow and build. And who knows where it'll be 10 years from now.
Right.
You can have a big production company. It could be something completely different, but what it'll all come down to is your heart and those 3 core things. What were you talking about?
Growth, contribution, collaboration.
Growth, contribution, and collaboration. When you have those 3 things at the forefront of who you are, because that is your purpose, when you're doing those things, then you'll find fulfillment. So even as your life and your and things in life change and grow, and you build a business and you sell it, and then you go to build something else, or you have sold it for so much that now you're just being a servant to other people, but you're going to be doing those 3 things to find fulfillment. And if you fade away from that, then you're going to find frustration.
Yeah,
so that's why so many people are finding frustration in their workplace today, because they don't know what their purpose is, or they know what it is, but they're not actually chasing it. And they're not able to like look at, hey, I'm not doing any of that stuff that is my purpose at all, right? That's what you have to do, that celery test thing that we talked about in one of the episodes. I sent you something on it. I don't know if you watched it, but you test and say, am I doing something today? One little thing, 5 minutes even, that is fulfilling my purpose, right? And that's what we're here for with Christina and I and you. Thank you for being our guest.
Yeah, thank you.
So we want to tell people how to find you. So
Yes.
please, I think your website has been scrolling on the Facebook feed, but please tell if anybody's listening, like, phone number, email, Facebook, whatever you think is the best way for them to get in touch with you. Share that so that we can, when we close out today, they can at least get in touch with you if they find your services, which, by the way, you're amazing.
He's amazing.
You're a great artist, and you're going to
Love you
impact
guys.
people's lives. And I really highly recommend at least touching base, because ASAF might have a package or a program that'll help you get started. And then when you see the business come back, you can hire him for more stuff, because, if you put in $1 and get 3 back, then you want to put in $3 and get 9 back. And that's what ASAF's here for in his professional business. But I think you'd also be willing just to talk to people and share with them and teach them as well. So tell us how to get in touch with you.
So hey guys, if you're watching this far, I love you. I appreciate you. How you can get in touch with me is you could email me at asapgaspi@gmail.com, asaphgaspi@gmail.com, www.videoprosperityusa. Like us on Facebook. We're on Facebook and Instagram. I just created the accounts. If you have a business page, give us a like. I'll like you back. I'll follow you back on Instagram and Facebook as well too. And what you're going to find on my website is you're going to hear a little bit about my story. You're going to see a video that talks about how I got to where I'm at. You're going to see some work examples as well too. And like you said, with the dollar in, dollar out kind of thing, what I do with video is that we make the videos that capture your sales message, that magnify your brand, that tell your story, that in result leads to more leads, that leads to a broader reach, it leads to more efficient way of saying your message. And they just happen to be really good looking videos as well too. So
Yes.
so yeah, get in touch with me, 253-459-0876. If you just want to connect and just get to know each other, I'm down for that too. And
Sweet.
thank you.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us on Purposeful in Life with Garrett Willie.
And Christina Hall?
Yep, where we're here to help you find your purpose for yourself or your organization so that you can live a fulfilling life in and out of work. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.